Hi again, here's your lesson on the atmosphere, but this time we will be talking about the energy resources that the atmosphere has to offer us. Question for you first though, how many kilometers thick is the atmosphere? So we said the atmosphere was that layer of air surrounding the earth. So how thick is it? You can have a discussion about this. Go ahead and pause the video. Pause it soon though, because I'm going to give you the answer, and I don't want to spoil it for you. 480 kilometers. So it's 480 kilometers thick, and that would be more than 19 times the length of OJ Road. That is how thick our atmosphere is. Alright, so what are we using this atmosphere for? Here's our essential question. What resources are available in the atmosphere? And here's what you need to be able to do by the end. I can judge the impacts of energy extraction and use, which means that you can tell us the good things, the advantages of the resources we're extracting from the atmosphere, and what are the disadvantages of these energy resources. So, here's our first energy resource. We have taken advantage of wind energy for centuries. Here's a really old windmill over there. That's what your picture is. Now we even do this using large turbines. So wind energy is a renewable resource. It regenerates itself naturally even when it is used. So we can use as much wind energy as we like. There will always be more wind. There will always be more land. All right. So, wind power does have some disadvantages. Some people think the turbines are an eyesore. This is a legitimate complaint, according to some people. They don't like the look of the turbines that you see in the picture there. They think they are ugly. When they put them up in the area where I'm from, people were flipping out about it. It was so ugly to have this wind farm, but it's also made them, I think, close to $500,000 in their first year, so I don't know. I don't know if they're over it yet or not, but that was the major complaint, was that it was ugly. And they also don't like the noise that it makes. It makes like a whooshing sound. Another disadvantage is that it's impossible to predict when and how fast the wind will blow. So we can't really rely on the wind, and we can't store wind energy, so we often use it with other power generating systems like hydroelectric dams, just because we can't store it, whereas we can store the other ones. So it's good because it's not producing greenhouse gases and it's renewable, but there's some disadvantages to it too. Alright, so here we need to talk about solar radiation. The sun is a star made up of 75% hydrogen and 25% helium. It is extremely hot. So this high temperature causes nuclear reactions that transform hydrogen into helium. The energy is spread out through space in the form of radiation, and some of these rays reach the Earth. These rays heat the atmosphere, the oceans, and the land. Solar energy is the energy that comes from the sun in the form of radiation through the atmosphere. So various technologies have been developed to put solar energy to use. So here are some of the ways that we use that solar energy from the sun. We use them in passive heating systems. So this is basically just the way that you build your house. And we build houses sometimes to take advantage of heat and light from the sun. So we think of this before we even start building. So these systems involve positioning houses so that they make the most out of the heat and light from the sun before they are even built. So we think about where's the winter sun, where's the summer sun. We would usually use large windows facing the south, so we get that sunshine. And inside the house we use materials like concrete because they absorb extra energy and they release it later. If you guys have ever, after the sun goes down for a couple hours in the summer, it can be kind of cool out, but if you put your hand on the pavement you'll notice that the pavement is really hot. Well, that's the kind of thing that we do in houses too, right? Those materials absorb a lot of heat and they store it. So this is one way to use solar energy. We also use photovoltaic cells, so they can be used to supply different appliances or homes with energy. So when the material making up the cell, usually we fill them with silicon. When the photovoltaic cell is hit with light, electrons are set into motion, and this creates an electric current. So you set little tiny subatomic particles moving around, and that's creating a current. Solar collectors. So these are large glass panels. You've probably seen them in different places, and we use those to capture the sun's rays. Under the panels, under the panels, usually we have copper wires, and we fill them with water, and the copper wire gets heated up. The copper wire heats up the water inside of it, and the water stores that heat. So this can be used to heat the air in buildings, in swimming pools, and the water in our homes too. So you see in this little animated thing what's going on, the solar panel and all the energy flowing around to different parts of the house, and even some of the surplus energy being exported. So here's our advantages and disadvantages. Solar energy is a renewable resource that does not produce greenhouse gases. So this is a great thing because we're not contributing to climate change. It is also good for areas where there's no electrical grid, so really far in the north or in space. The disadvantages, though, are that solar energy systems are really, really expensive. They're very expensive. And the amount of energy is not predictable because of weather conditions. We cannot know for sure that it's going to be sunny, and so that makes it kind of difficult to rely on them sometimes. So here is what you're responsible for now that we've reached the end of the lesson. Can you name the resources that are available in the atmosphere? So what resources are we pulling out of the atmosphere? And you need to be able to describe the advantages and disadvantages of these resources. Make sure that you can do that. You also have an assignment, I believe, to complete in your workbook after this lesson. So you remember you can always review using the videos if you like. They are all on YouTube. And you can also check your notes, and you can work in teams for your questions. Just make sure that you are contributing equally to the work that's being done. So that's the end of today, and I will talk to you again soon.